Alright, hey guys, and welcome back, as this week I take a look at a very obscure toy line by Galoob called General Patch. Now, General Patch was released in 1982 by Galoob, and it was designed to be a cash-in on the hugely successful G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero franchise. The action figures were mainly sold individually and were almost carbon copies of the successful Hasbro toy line. They also seemed to pick up inspirations from other comic book and military-themed franchises like Sergeant Rock from Our Army at War and Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos. There were only ever a few figures ever released for the line, with mainly General Patch and a few other generic soldiers. On the back of each package it showed how you could pose them with all their different weapons, and oddly enough they were even advertised as the weapons having the smell of battle, which I don't know if that was a real feature or just a catchphrase. Now, every hero needs a nemesis, and General Patch's was the evil enemy faction, seemingly a take on Cobra from Hasbro. There were also 3 vehicles released for the line as well: the Anti-Infiltration Patrol Boat, Tow Missile Launcher and Armor Attack Vehicle, and the Eagle Eye Interceptor CFX 510 jet. Now, unfortunately, by the end of 1983, Galoob had all but given up on the General Patch line, seeing as how there was no way it was going to be able to compete with Hasbro's super successful G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero toy line. So they decided to take the easy way out and just rebrand most of their toys, like the Tow Missile Launcher and Armor Attack Vehicle, as another popular series was coming around at that time, the A-Team. They literally took just most of their figures and vehicles and just repainted them for another line, which actually saw a lot more success. Now let's take a look at some of the vehicles and toys that I have for this very obscure series.
Alright guys, so now let's take a look at some of the General Patch vehicles and figures that I have for this very small and obscure collection. Now, like I said, this came out around 1982 and was produced by Galoob and was designed to be a cheap cash-in on the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero franchise that saw a lot of success. Now, this is the General Patch anti-aircraft or anti-infiltration boat vehicle. Not really sure the full technical term for the name of it, but this was produced in 1983. This was one of 2 other vehicle sets that came out. There was one with like a half-track tank that also had a like a hitch at the end with different supplies. Then you had one with like an F-15 fighting jet that was produced as well. And after Galoob saw that the toy line really wasn't going anywhere, they used these exact same molds, or at least the boat and the tank, and used them in their A-Team lines, because they decided that this was not going anywhere as far as a knockoff with G.I. Joe, and they just abandoned the line. Like I said previously too, this is kind of a weird combination of like Sergeant Rock and like Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, you know, Nick Fury with the patch and everything like that. It has just this weird type of fusion of like modern day, like Vietnam War, and then like the World War II theme, trying to blend in to G.I. Joe, obviously, was what they were going for here. And it didn't come off too bad, but it's just there wasn't enough attention to detail put into this line. So now let's take a look at this boat here. On the bottom, you can see we have the copyright date of Galoob, 1983. And this is where I initially got confused when I picked this up a few years ago. I actually thought this was part of the A-Team line, because this is just so obscure. There's so little information on it. It's just one of the most obscure toy lines that I've ever run across in my life. But I think it's really interesting. I still think the boat has a lot of nice detail. You can see here on the inside you have the stickers of like the life vests and stuff, the ammo and oars. You have the front end of the boat with the guns that swivel from side to side and also go up and down. Unfortunately, with General Patch, his hands don't grip the gun, so you're just gonna have to like put them there and like pretend that like he's, you know, shooting down planes and stuff like that. You have the stickers for the floor of the boat. You also have this little box that I think is supposed to be the engine or the seat. It's kind of hard to tell what it is, and the reason why I say engine is because it has looks like little bullet holes in it. And there's two things that this is missing. There's an outboard motor that would hook in here, and you would plug in blue and red wires, which I don't know if you can see that, but on here it says red and blue, so you know which ones to plug in to power, so that way this could actually, you could put it in the water and it would actually go through the water. And then it is also missing a little American flag that would go right in this little hole here. And now what's cool with this too is you have, we'll remove General Patch here for a second. There we are. Let's put him back there for the time being. Is that it also comes with two weapons that you can remove and use with General Patch. So they're not glued in, they're not, just for show, they're actually little accessories that you get with it. And now there's another little hidden feature too. Well, I guess it's not really a hidden feature, you kind of need it to operate the toy. But if you pull the steering wheel directly out, just pull it straight up, this little back compartment opens up, and then that would be where you would put in two AAA batteries. I don't know if I'll be able to get that out of there, but you might be able to see it in the back there. That's where you would put two AAA batteries, and then they're wired in underneath to where you plug in the little outboard motor. And then you just close that back up, put the steering wheel back in, and there you go. Very simple. This is a very lightweight construction, I have to say, but it doesn't really feel cheap. It kind of looks cheap. It looks like it just has that, sold at Kmart, which I believe this is where they were actually sold, type of cheap, knockoff a G.I. Joe look. But I think it's still a pretty decent quality little toy for being a knockoff toy. I mean, it's definitely fun. There's a lot going on here, and like I said, you can take these little guns out. Get a nice little up-close look at the little weapons that you get with it. And you can also get more too, when you bought the figures individually. But, these are the ones that came with this set here. If I can get this to focus in. There we go. You got like a little submachine gun, maybe like an AR-15 there. Little rifle. Very cool. Now let's take a look at General Patch himself. There is the good General. And I was very confused with him when I first got him. Even though he came with this boat, I wasn't sure if he actually went with this or not. I mean, it seemed like he did, but you see a lot of these nondescript A-Team bad guy villains, and most people just assumed, oh yeah, he's A-Team, it's Galoob, he's one of those villains. There's the guy in the white shirt that has a patch on too, and I was like, okay, I guess this is A-Team. I guess he's one of those nondescript villains, and with good reason. If you just find him loose, there's absolutely no markings on this figure at all. There's no stamp on the inner legs, there's nothing on the back, and he looks like something that you could almost mistake him for like a G.I. Joe that maybe nobody knew about, or like a knockoff Joe or something, or just one of those weird A-Team bad guys. So like I said, here's the guns. You can't really hold them very well. Like, he'll hold them, but you can't hold them with both hands, unfortunately. So there is with the one machine gun there. And that's because they don't swivel at the elbow, and like I said, that's because these are based off of the early 81 and 82 straight-arm Joes. And then we have the other one here. Give him that as well. But yeah, that's about as good as he can do, because unfortunately you can't turn it, and you can bend both of these arms, but he's not going to be able to hold it like he should, like a regular military rifle. I mean, I guess you could just kind of lay it across there, but yeah, that would look pretty silly. So let's take a quick close-up look at General Patch himself here. Alright, there we go. And of course you can see right there, there's his face, the infamous Patch. And then, you know, he has this weird kind of, I don't know what's going on with this combat armor. It just looks like a flight suit, I guess. That's what that really looks like to me. He's got a camo knife on his side there, another pouch for miscellaneous stuff. The paintwork is pretty good on this. You got the boots. The boots. He's got his, you know, brown combat boots there. And the face, there's not a lot of detail in the face, but, you know, it doesn't look horrible. He just looks, you know, very plain Jane, just a very nondescript little figure. Got the pockets and the little camo design and everything. But like I said here, you know, you can see how he's, number one, styled after, even though this is not a straight-armed Joe, you know, we have Flint here as an example. How he's kind of styled after a G.I. Joe. And then afterwards, how they use the exact same mold. This is another line I'll eventually do a video on. You know, and how he looks just like Hannibal from the A-Team. I mean, exactly like Hannibal. He has the exact same suit. They're wearing the exact same outfit, you know. Aside from a more highly sculpted, detailed face, you'd never be able to tell them apart. And, you know, so that's why General Patch is a very obscure line, because it just got abandoned, and then they said, you know what, hey, A-Team seems to be doing good, so let's dump this, reuse the molds, repaint them, sculpt some new heads, and then you have the A-Team. So, yeah, there we have it. That's a quick little synopsis here on a very, very obscure, but still interesting, all the same little toy line that, you know, never really had its day. I've never seen any other information about this toy line ever. I don't even think there's another video on YouTube covering this toy line, because it's just, you know, it's a total Kmart toy that just got forgotten about. But I still think it's pretty neat, pretty interesting. Hope you guys did too. Thanks for tuning in and checking out this weird, obscure little Galoob toy line with me called General Patch. And I'll see you guys back here next time.
Hey guys, if you liked the video that you just watched, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and you can follow me at Facebook at King of Retro or Twitter at #8ByteBrian. See you next time.